Welcome into the Sports Buffoons Podcast. Let's give it up to listening, boys and girls of the world. Welcome on to the Sports Buffoon Studios here out of Lenexa, Kansas.
Let's go.
We got the full crew with us here. JG to my left and Tanner Dawson to my right. What's going on, fellas?
What's going on?
So what you guys up to today, man? How you doing?
I just been listening to Houdini.
Oh, a lot of Houdini.
New, Slim Shady song.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
I feel like Tanner showed us that like 3 weeks ago.
Houdini's the best freaking song out there. Right
No,
now.
it's fine. It's better than the other Houdini that you had me listen to.
Yeah, that one all the way up.
So
I think they're both amazing.
Slim Shady is back and killing it, dude. I freaking love it. I can't wait for more.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. Let's not be a one-off. I mean, he's got to come back.
No, it's a whole album coming out.
Well, it better be like that.
It is. There's a whole album dropping.
All right.
I don't know when.
I was gonna say you can't tease us with something like that, but then follow up with a bunch of nonsense on his new.
That's
album.
a hell of a tease. So there's an album dropping though.
I'm just saying, man. Well, before we get going, man, this is our first fantasy episode of the season, so we do have a quick topic with you guys. We're gonna play around a little boomer bust of our top 5 players to watch for this coming season. We're gonna talk a little bit of Royals and All-Star break and home run derby for a minute as well, and then we have some other fun stuff to discuss about some college football 25.
College
coming
football
up.
25.
So excited to have the game come out, and we're going to speak about that for a minute. But first and foremost, I have something I want to say to you guys. So there's only 3 buffoons here at this table, but we have another buffoon that's a part of the National Football League, and his name is Tyreek Hill. And Tyreek Hill announced his top 5 quarterback ranking in order. And so in order, his top 5 quarterbacks are Patrick Mahomes, Tua Tagovailoa, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, and Baker Mayfield would be his top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, he got one of them right. At least you got Patrick Mahomes right. After that, I mean, what are we doing putting Dak on this situation when we know?
I think I'm more disappointed in the Dak than I am Baker.
I'm just disappointed in Dak than Baker. I mean, well, I don't know where the Baker love is coming from. There's got to be something about Baker that has him intrigued. But I thought Dak, obviously Tua, is a special of his own kind there. But
He has to put Tua in that.
But Dak and Baker on his top 5 list. I don't know too many people right now would be putting those guys on that kind of a list with this. We got Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. I mean, those kind of guys still out there, obviously. So I'm not sure how they could be ignored when they've done way more than either Dak or Baker at this point in their career. And obviously Tua as well. Lamar Jackson, I get that. I mean, that one makes sense to be in your top 5. I mean, he's been consistent throughout his years. So I'm not hating on that one too much, but
I'd agree.
Man, there's some real buffoonery with that order right there.
Yeah, let's be clear. He doesn't really believe that about Tua. He doesn't truly believe that Tua is the second best quarterback in the league. He's just saying it.
He has to put Tua
sure,
in.
he has to say. I understand
but
that.
I don't respect him.
It's also
that being his opinion.
Right. It's also not being honest with yourself. So I mean, if that's the case, don't even put a top 5 out there. No one needs to hear your damn mouth about who your top 5 quarterbacks are, because you can't be honest anyway. So
yeah, the most offensive thing to me is that he had Dak and Baker in there as you shouldn't have any NFC quarterbacks in that list. Period.
You might as well put Russell Wilson on there from his experience.
If you are going to have an NFC quarterback on that list, it's going to be Jalen Hurts. But truthfully, I wouldn't have any.
I wouldn't put Hurts in that. That's a quarterback.
You shouldn't have.
I would probably put Hurts over Dak.
I would. Oh yeah,
I'm just saying over Dak. I would. And
the bottom line is
Baker
you should not have any NFC quarterbacks in your top 5. Period. But if you're going to have one, it's not going to be those 2. That would be my point.
You guys want to put Kirk in there?
I'm not putting Kirk in the top 5.
No, like over Dak and Baker.
He's the same. To me, he's the same as those
I think he's
2.
way better than those 2.
No, they're just all the same. They're the same guy.
The same guy.
I don't know. Kirk over Baker. Yeah, I'd probably put Kirk over Baker, and then Dak. I mean, that is kind of the same.
They're all the same guy. Dude.
I don't know how to put him over Dak. I think Kirk's a top 12 quarterback in the league, but that's about where I would top.
And you don't like Jalen Hurts, so that's my point. Like all these NFC guys, they're all the same. Like none of them belong in that list.
It's not like I don't like Jalen Hurts. I'm just saying from a quarterback standpoint, I got more belief in other guys.
Would you guys object to what I think the top 5 should have probably been? Not in any order, but Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. And after that, I mean, who am I missing? This deserves to be top 5.
Aaron Rodgers?
Maybe.
Aaron Rodgers?
We
Justin
need to see him
Herbert's
come
there?
back. I'm not going Herbert on that.
You're not going to go
He
Herbert?
hasn't earned that respect yet.
Well, you can't earn a respect when you have a shitty ass coach and a shitty ass system. So,
No, we don't know how this is going to affect him. Jim Harbaugh, so
well,
could be in a positive way.
I don't think it will, because if you look at
We'll
Greg
see.
Roman, look at what his run off is like. His pass
I know.
attempts are not there, man.
We went over that a little bit the other day. but
Who else? I got.
that'd be.
Gosh, man, we really putting Josh Allen in this?
I'm not putting him
Yeah.
in the top 5. No way.
Josh Allen?
I'll put Allen in the top 5. I mean, he's battled, man, in the AFC over the years, and when you can compare him to the other quarterbacks in the league, most of them have not gotten to where he's gotten.
Where's
Yes, he's
the
not.
respect for
He's
Goff?
failed in the playoffs.
Where's
but-
the respect for Goff?
Sure, I would take Goff over Dak and Baker.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see an argument for that for sure. I don't know that I'd put Goff over Allen though. I think pretty highly of Allen, honestly.
Goff is a good one, dude.
Yeah, Goff
He-
is a good one.
Same.
Because everybody's going to find
So-
out after this year that he is the best
So then
NFC quarterback.
maybe
I think.
the fifth guy that I'm missing in my top 5 would be Goff.
It'd have to be. I think Goff.
Probably be Goff.
Purdy.
Yeah.
Purdy.
Nah, I mean, Purdy's fine for what he does, but man, he's leading a big pack of wolves out there. But those guys are the ones carrying him. So Purdy's better than what they had with Garoppolo.
God,
I went over this with you guys last year. I think Purdy's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
But that team around him, almost any quarterback could be pretty successful with those guys around him.
Successful, but not a Super
So-
Bowl successful. Most terms.
I mean, honestly, Purdy and Jalen Hurts are better than Josh Allen. They can make it to
Well,
Super Bowl.
okay.
Mean, Jared Goff's
guess
a better
no, that
quarterback.
wouldn't-
He's
you
made
don't
it
say
to a
that.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, there's a lot of young guys out there doing quarterback stuff now. Like,
Would you
I'm
put-
trying to go down the list, and it's a bunch of rookies.
Did you put Stafford over Baker Mayfield?
I would.
I'm kind of surprised Stafford got some hate right there because
I would.
I feel like he's kind of earned it a little bit more than Baker at this point, and I'd probably put Stafford
Super
over
Bowl
Stafford.
champ.
Stafford's
too.
just old, so I don't think you can really have him in any of those conversations right now.
When he's in the field, he's amazing.
I mean, just 2 years ago, man, he was putting up big numbers. It wasn't that long ago, and
Even
Things were
even
going
towards
really-
the end of
really easy.
last year,
Sure.
he was.
I mean, took Puka to a new level. I mean, that's for damn sure. So, anyways, that was a little buffoonery I thought out of Tyreek Hill,
We did have a couple comments on
Putting
this here.
Dak in there, and Baker.
Our
in there.
boy Starsky says losing to Allen every game as a Dolphin must have him butthurt. That's fair. And then
Probably.
Starsky also says, I don't think there is another QB besides Mahomes that has more wins or stats than Allen.
I will put Josh Allen ahead of Tua. That's all I'm giving you for Josh.
Oh yeah,
Allen.
Tua's not in my top 5.
Yeah.
Tua, he's not even in my top 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's. I don't know.
I'm going.
top
Look.
15.
I had a
so-
bunch of hate when Tua became quarterback for the Dolphins. Then that next year, I had a little bit more respect for him.
Well, he wasn't as bad as people tried to make him out to be at
Correct.
first, and I was trying to tell you guys he's actually
You
not
were.
that bad.
You were.
But then there was a surge of like people going the opposite direction, trying to overinflate his value, and now it's kind of
Correct.
reverting back to the mean of like what he really is, which is an average quarterback.
Yeah, and now I'm going back on the hater side of things because I saw what he was.
Yeah.
In big
I mean,
games.
Yeah, he's not a top 10 quarterback. So.
Plain and simple.
All right, guys, you want to jump into some fantasy for the first time this year? I mean, I am pumped because we got our league renewed and signed back up again, ready to roll. We got our draft today for my league. August, I think 24th is what we came up with. Obviously, we're going to do some kind of a buffoons league as we, I think, attempted to do last year. I can't remember how that turned out, but
We're gonna
was last year the year that you
It was
screwed
the
us,
year
Tanner, the year before?
before. because I
but vividly,
refused
it's
to do
rough.
anything last year after that whole.
Well, yeah,
debacle
you
with
screwed
guys.
our whole team up,
I
man.
didn't screw you.
You
whole
had us
team.
draft Cam Akers.
just because you
You let that
guys
happen.
didn't take anything serious.
Well, because we thought it was a fake draft.
So you're going to give the viewers fake info.
Well, because we're throwing each other off because we have
You
a
were
real
giving
draft.
the viewers the fake info.
Well, no.
Yes, you
I was
were.
actually, I
That's
did not.
what you
no,
two were doing. The
I didn't
entire
draft
time.
Cam Akers. I wouldn't have done that. He did that.
I know he did.
So
No,
I didn't,
you were in the
I didn't
same
try to
boat.
swerve anybody.
No, I told the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
There's a lot of politicians that say that. So see how long that lasts. Anyways, guys, we're going to run on the list. We got 5 guys in mind that we want to talk about for a minute here. First one I want to throw out and just give me a rundown of what you guys think between boom or bust on the season. I'm going to tell you the players' current ADP and PPR leagues and go from there. So my first one off the list is J.K. Dobbins, running back now for the LA Chargers.
Yeah, so he's a bust for me. And let's just assume that he's going to be healthy the entire season. He's still going to be a bust because 1 year removed in week 1 from that Achilles tear, it generally takes a running back 1 full season to get back to 100%. And so Yeah, I don't even know where he's getting drafted at this point.
Well,
but
so
it's
his
not,
ADP is 151 right now, which would be about the 12th round in most leagues.
yeah, I would still say he's a bust.
Okay.
So a lot of people like to say that the Raiders are where players go to die. I would say the Chargers are where players go to get injured once again. So he's probably going to get injured, but again, not going to be. I don't see him as being 100% this year. I mean, yeah, if you want to take a flyer, I mean, you're not. That's very little risk there,
Yeah.
but I still think he's a bust.
Yeah. What do you think about this guy, Tanner?
Boom or a bust. I mean, this is what it is. All potential for him. A guy coming off Achilles tear, but he's going back with Greg Roman, a running style offense there in Los Angeles now with Harbaugh and Roman back together. Honestly, for me, I could see a boom in this one come into play. He is 170 rankings on the Basement Brew Fans Football Draft Guide this year so far. But a cool stat here. When Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh worked together in the 49ers between 11 and 14, their offensive finishes were 3rd, 7th, 3rd, and 9th in rushing attempts. So they were full top 10,
Right.
top 5 each year in rushing attempts.
Yeah.
And I think with a crew, Gus Edwards will lead the charge. Vita, whatever the rookie they have there, he's going to be in the mix as well with JK. If JK can just manage 8 to 10 touches, 8 to 10 plays, period, for that throughout the season, he's a boom. So I'm going to go boom.
Yeah,
It's big potential.
for me, I got asked this question earlier this week about J.K. Dobbins and my feeling on him right now, and I gave him a couple chances the previous 2 seasons, and he let me down both times.
He did.
And it's an injury concern, but also I saw some softness out of the guy in the past, and so it's not something that I'm really looking forward to watching and see unfold in a ground and pound type of offense, which I'm assuming Harbaugh's going to come into play with a lot of that. But Gus Edwards is perfect for that system. Gus Edwards is going to fit in really well. Gus Edwards is a good running back.
Gus the bus.
Gus, I think, had 13 touchdowns this past season.
He did.
And he's been averaging about 5 yards a carry for his career. Still 29 years old. He's not overused. If you look at his total share of carries for his career, it's still right around 1,000 total.
Yeah.
So not a whole lot of mileage. And Gus is going to steal a show there as far as goal line carries and everything else. I just don't trust Dobbins to stay healthy for me. And this was a hard one because at ADP of 151 was what I found. It sounds like it could be a good value if it works out, but I'm going to go ahead and say bust and not put any faith in throwing away a pick on a guy that's probably going to get injured.
But who would back up to Gus though? Because we know Gus also has injury concerns as well throughout the season.
There was another running back, Tanner. I was looking at Orlads. No,
not the rookie.
I was looking at Orlads, and I for some reason this is a guy actually I liked in the draft a couple of years ago. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, it's just with Dobbins, man. It's the Chargers, and you guys know my philosophy when it comes to Chargers players. I do not draft Chargers players.
Oh yeah, Spiller, the lost forgotten rookie from last year.
I don't draft Chargers players, period, because I don't trust them. They get banged up every single year. The only guy I would trust is Justin Herbert. That's pretty much it.
Well, yeah,
and I probably shouldn't trust him either, but I'd be willing to take a stab on him.
Yeah, I think Isaiah Spiller ends up getting some more carries.
And
also that rookie Spiller, of course. But I like Spiller coming out of college anyway. So
I mean, JK. I mean, essentially, if he has a great preseason, like in the training camp and the preseason games, and shows that he has the speed, he's able to, get off of the Achilles out of his other injuries. I think he can compete for that 2 spot. I really do.
All right. Even then, Bo, if you're getting 8 total touches per game, that's not enough for me to ever start you on my team. So I'm like, you're just kind of a wasted roster.
Boom, aka he's used in the small passing game, the short game. So
we'll see. I'll see. I don't know about that yet, but all right, guys. Next one on my list, I want to talk about Trevor Lawrence. Big hot topic from last season. We all thought it was going to be the huge step up in that year 3. It was not. It was a major letdown from Lawrence, and he regressed in a lot of ways. If you watched his play on the field last year, his current ADP is 120, which is pretty good value. I mean, if you can get a guy like that around that range I think that would put him at QB 14 in most leagues, somewhere around there. So just on the outside edge of your starting material. But man, they got some upgrades at receiver. Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU is a big one. I mean, that was one of my favorite receivers in the draft this year, and I think he's going to, from day one, end up being a big productive player. Obviously, they got Gabriel Davis, Christian Kirk still there, Devin Duvernay, of course. They got upgrades at offensive line as well, Mitch Morse and Scherf. I know I probably shouldn't do this, and he's on my roster, and I put faith in him, but I'm going to have him as a boom this year. to finally kick it into gear and figure out how to play football again.
And I'm with you. I obviously didn't learn my lesson from last year. I'm going to have him as a boom as well. He's only 1 year removed from a quarterback 7 finish in fantasy. And I do love the upgrade with Brian Thomas Jr. at wide receiver. I think that's an upgrade from Calvin Ridley, and he's going to have better chemistry with Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. So yeah, I'm going to go boom here. They're just way too much talent for me. I mean, you can't screw the pooch like that 2 years in a row, I don't think.
I have to go with you guys as well. I'm going boom as well. 122 ranking on the Basement Brew Fantasy Football Draft Guide here, just right after the 120 for the value aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But you're looking at a guy who's a high-end QB2. He's not a guy you want as a must start every week.
But if you see the progression of the season, though, and you see he's been successful early on and he's figured it out all of a sudden, then boom, you have yourself a starter.
Yeah, he was a QB7 2022. I can't remember what he was for 2023, but it wasn't a top 10 quarterback. I can tell you that in fantasy. But you can see that he scores 15 or more fantasy points 60% of the time. And every time it works every time. So, and then another cool fact is he has more games under 7 fantasy points than games over 26 fantasy points.
Yeah.
4-3.
When it's bad, it's really bad.
What the world, man?
It's
that
weird.
is a big, oh my Lord. But he does generally score 15 or more points majority of the time. He doesn't score very often in the 20-point category though. So again, he should be a boom this year with Brian Thomas Jr. coming to play with Christian Kirk entering year 3 with them. Year 3.
Yeah, this week is the third with Jaguars.
ETN coming on a contract year as well. So you should see that combo there in the backfield again. Hopefully Tank can get something freaking rolling. But you should see a much better, cleaner offense this year because you don't have a questionable Ridley either on that play that you hadn't played for 2 years, right? And so I think now it's more established. Kirk comes back to the 1 spot. Thomas can sit in the 2 spot. Gabe Davis can do Gabe Davis things, disappear for weeks on end. But you have other weapons out there for that. So I'm going to go boom on this one.
Yeah, I just like the current value of 120 at the moment. And I just think the upside, I think he's going to be finishing as a top 10 quarterback. Not top 5, not even top 7, but I think if you can get in the top 10, then you're beating your value in the draft. So at the end of the day, that's a boom for me.
Yep.
Next on my list, guys, we got 3 more. Anthony Richardson, Colts quarterback, coming off of the big injury. Last year only had 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, a few hundred yards passing, and a few hundred rushing as well. So obviously the guy coming out of Florida, it was pretty controversial at the time just to have a guy like that with his completion percentage at Florida in the low 50s come out and be plugged in as a starter right away for the Colts. And it's a little iffy. It's some ups and downs with this kind of guy and as a prospect and in a lot of ways a project as well. His current ADP though is 58, which would put him as the 5th quarterback overall in your fantasy league. And so I have to ask you guys, at 58 ADP, Anthony Richardson, are you a believer or no?
Yeah, obviously I love the guy's rushing ability, and I love the fact that he's got the 6th easiest quarterback schedule this year, but he's going to make a lot of mistakes here. And as a running quarterback, you're more likely to just get injured again. Definitely not going to take him in the 5th round, and I have him as a bust here.
What you got, Tanner?
My issue with AR here is he's being drafted. Being drafted over his ADP, so it's literally in the 40s for most of the drafts I'm in.
Yeah,
he is being drafted a round or 2 early than his ADP.
Putting a lot of faith in the guy but I will say this: it reminds me a little bit. We saw Jalen Hurts' first rookie season.
Correct.
Didn't get a lot of playing time. Didn't have a bunch to show for it. Seemed like he might take some time to develop. No, right away that next year he was putting up numbers immediately. Right? Could this be the same thing?
I actually kind of do because you played 2 games, if I'm right. 2 games, 1 game,
might have been 3.
3. All right, I'm maybe shortening him a little bit, but you still have guys. Michael Pittman Jr. returns, right? You got Adonai Mitchell coming in to play. Josh Downs returns for his 2nd year. You still have a decent line there, still with a lot of guys here.
Still got JT, of course.
JT is there, and he's healthy, and he looked really good at the end of the last year as well. Personally, for me here, at a 61 ranking on BBFF Fantasy Football Draft Guide, that you're never going to get him at unless you're in a weird ass league. I'm going AR as a boom. I think he learned last year what he needs to do on his running game, but also the fact that he had essentially a whole season pretty much to understand the game a little better. And you were behind Gardner Minshew, who was very instructive. Now you got Joe Flacco in your back pocket as well. I think AR is in a really great situation here, and you have one of a really great OC as your head coach in Stetson. So I'm going AR as a boom this year at ADP 58. Not where he's being drafted now, but ADP 58. The question is, at that ADP, I'm going to go boom.
Even still, though, you got some balls if you think he's
Right.
going to outproduce
That puts him as the 5th quarterback off the board at that ADP right now.
Yeah.
So okay.
Oh yeah, no, he's a running quarterback. If he can manage
Right.
his
The rushing
run
yards
game,
is what you want. At the end of the day, you want rushing yards.
He's going to be a mobile kind of guy, right? This is a not necessarily a Lamar capable caliber player, but this is a Lamar style player. This is something you're going to, a similar player. You're going to look at Jaden Daniels trying to steal from in the 6th, 7th, 8th round. So I think AR here has a great opportunity. If he learns what the hell he was doing last year, being so wrong, this is a boom potential.
Yeah, for me, I kind of have a philosophy in fantasy where I don't really mess around with a project quarterback or a quarterback I'm unsure of. I want to see past production and experience to actually prove to me what the quarterback's capable of, because all I want in a quarterback is consistency. I mean, that's really all I ever ask for, which is part of the reason why for a long time I was drafting Matt Ryan's ass, because I felt like he'd be at least average and all I could fill out the rest of my team with, superstar receivers.
Yeah.
Was what I used to do. But a guy with Anthony Richardson's too many question marks. I mean, that is a 58 overall. That is a 4th round pick at that point, or is it a 5th round pick at that point?
A 5th round pick.
There's so many other good receivers on the board at that point for me that I would not want to waste it on a quarterback who could get injured again due to his running style, as well as the fact I don't know enough about him yet in the NFL. So to me, it's going to be a bust. I would not take him anywhere near 58. Maybe if he's there somewhere in the 90s. But obviously,
if we're talking like being draftable at that spot, no, you're not taking him. You shouldn't take him because there's too many good running backs at that point that you can take.
I think you're going to see a lot of drafts where he's going to fall to like the 6th, 7th, maybe even the 8th round. No, I think
so early.
I've
done 30 best ball drafts.
You're going to see some drafts where he falls.
Oh, you will see some depending what it is, but he's gone so early in my 25, 30 drafts I've done. It's the end of the 4th round.
End of the 4th, yeah. Okay, makes sense. All right, guys, I got another one. Right there next to him on the ADP is Kyle Pitts, obviously the tight end from Atlanta. So 59 is where he's sitting at. Just to throw this out before we get started with Kyle Pitts, do you guys realize he's still only 23 years old?
He's the 24.
He's 23 right now.
He's 24. He's about to turn 24
in October.
Yeah,
but I'm saying he's still 23. Still 23 at the moment. But
yeah,
my point is he's been in the league 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Still 23. There's some rookies right now that are coming into training camp that are 23. And so like my point was saying that is that we saw him have a 1,000-yard season, 21 years old. And now, I mean, we've had the ups and downs of Kyle Pitts where we felt like maybe, it's not going to work out for him. There's something wrong with him. He can't run routes anymore, this and that. Obviously, there's an issue with the getting in the end zone. If you look at his numbers, it's not been good in that regard. But
no,
I'm not going to give up on this guy. I mean, it doesn't make sense to give up on a great athlete like Kyle Pitts, especially given his quarterback situation over the last 3 years. The inconsistency there just isn't good. And Kirk Cousins now coming over to play, I think is ideal for a guy like him to get his career put back on the right path. And like I said, at 23 years old, man, it's not too late at all to get this thing figured out as a tight end in the league. And a lot of times tight ends do take a while to get going. Tight end is not an easy position to learn at all.
No, it's not.
And I know he's playing a lot of, slot receiver, essentially. He's not always in line all the time, like a traditional tight end. But for me, I think this guy could get back into that 850-yard range this year. And that'll put him in the, top 6 of all tight ends in the draft. So to me, big boom. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, this is an interesting guy for me because I don't like to take tight ends in the 6th round. So this would be an early 6th round pick for me. ADP 64. I personally am not going to draft him in that range. However, I do have him as a boom because obviously I love the upgrade at quarterback. You also have a head coach that is presumably not going to be scared to put the ball in the hands of your playmakers. Because I don't know what the hell that head coach was doing last
Arthur
couple
Smith?
years, but
Yeah.
he didn't want to put the ball in the hands of the playmakers. So I think for me, he's going to be a boom this year. I'm just telling you in terms of fantasy, my personal view is I don't like taking tight ends in the 6th round, so I'm not going to do it. But most certainly, if he falls into the 7th, I probably would take him.
Yeah, 7th is a good value, I think, at that point. I just think there's a lot of upside with Kirk Cousins there. So
There's tons of upside.
to me, it makes a lot of sense for him to work out. Okay.
So we did a big episode on this on episode 13 in BBFF. We talked about Kirk Cousins and what he brought to what he's bringing to the Falcons here. Big thing was about the tight ends and Kyle Pitts being a guy there, right? So Rudolph was the number 7 tight end in 2018 in fantasy football. Jordan Reed had his best 2 years with him. And if you guys remember that, I drafted him both years that he had his best years. Kyle Rudolph had 2 of his best 5 years career with Cousins. Tyler Conklin had the best year of his career with Cousins when he was there. And TJ Hawk averaged 13.7 PPR points and 8.6 targets per game in 18 contests for Kirk Cousins, finishing as a tight end 2 in 2022. And he was on pace for a top 5 finish again before he got injured last year for Hawk. Kirk Cousins can support multiple guys, and he does it very well. I mean, you look at J.J. Thielen, you look at 2 different Viking receivers finish the top 10 fantasy football on top of Kyle Rudolph in 2018. This guy is not afraid to spread the ball out, and having a tight end caliber guy like Kyle Pitts should be by now. This is the kind of quarterback you need there, who's going to go after. He doesn't care who you are; he's going to go after you, and he can support it. So again, I don't know why I keep saying boom, but it's Kyle Pitts season, baby.
So all three of us have him as a boom.
Yeah.
And I think you guys have convinced me that I should take him in the 6th round.
You should go for it, buddy.
Hey, if you got the power for it, I mean, if you got the picks for it, but I don't know what kind of picks you're working with. So
that would be my that's basically my 3rd round pick this year is my 6th round. So that would be very difficult to make that pick. But
for you, I don't know if that's a
at
good
least
idea.
after talking through it with you guys, I can consider it.
Yeah, I think
it's promising.
Guys, like I said, it was 2 years ago. He was a 1,000-yard receiver as a rookie. That's not just disappeared. I mean, he still has that in him. So I think he's got the right quarterback now to make it work. So
and the right offensive coordinator too.
Yeah, I think it's going to work out okay for him this time. I got one more, guys. So ADP, I don't know what you found because this guy obviously fluctuates depending on standard and PPR. And PPR, what I found was 52 overall at Keenan Allen for the Bears now at this point. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be an interesting one to watch his career after everything he did with the Chargers and how successful he was as a yak receiver, as an underneath receiver a lot of times. Those shallow crossing routes, man, he was glorious at it at one time. One of those guys consistently, 100 catch, 1,200 yards is what you get out of him. You know to get every single year as long as he's healthy. And now going to the Bears with a rookie quarterback, Caleb Williams. I think it's going to be a different change of scenery, but before I answer, I want you guys to let me know what you think about Keenan Allen.
Yeah, so I'm going to go bust here, and it's not for the reason why you guys would expect me to say that. I mean, I know you guys know that I don't draft Chargers players, and I never wanted any part of this guy because he was always hurt. But that's not the reason why I've got him as a bust here. I actually think, if he was still with the Chargers, I would consider drafting him. Just because I think with all of the injuries he's gone through in his career at age 32, he's got a lot of mileage left in the tank because he missed a lot of games. So I do believe in him as a player, even though he's age 32, but there's just too many unknowns here with Caleb Williams. There's going to be a lot of mouths to feed in that offense with Roma Dunze, DJ Moore. So, Keenan Allen's going to be competing for targets, and I could see, 5th or 6th round value for him, but that's just not enough value for me. I think he's probably going to produce that, but I'm just going to go bust here. Too many unknowns here with Caleb Williams.
I'm kind of with you in that same boat, Jason. So the Bears, they finished 18th or worse in scoring in the 9 of the last 10 seasons. They've also finished 32nd and 27th in passing attempts in the last 2 years under coach Matt Eberflus. But Luke Getsy is gone. He's went to the Raiders, the OC. Justin Fields is gone. Went to be a backup for Pittsburgh. Okay. They brought in Shane Waldron, which, again, we went over early in the season a couple months ago on the BBFF channel, and that was an eye opener there. And Caleb Williams is now your quarterback, but there's too many goddamn mouths to feed. DeAndre Swift is there. Cole Kmet's still there. The tight end for the Chargers last year. Help me out.
They got him too.
Yeah.
Oh shit! The one that got injured again. The other one that got injured.
Not the. No, that's with the Saints. He's hold on. What
are you talking about?
I
I just had their Orlads up.
I'm pulling it up. I got it. So okay,
Chargers.
All right. So you got Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett,
Will Dissly, Hayden Hurst. Right. Oh, Donald Parham.
Gerald Everett. Parham's in New Orleans. Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at. Who am I looking at?
What are you looking?
Chart. I'm looking at the chart. I thought you talked the chart. Oh, I'm looking at the current one.
3. Okay.
My bad. I was like,
so Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett
buffoonery.
Now there. Mercedes Lewis is there too, who a big red zone target.
Yeah, he's like 60 years old.
Yeah,
though.
but he's
I'm not worried about him.
No, you use Mercedes Lewis in the
red zone, I guess. But.
Yeah, it's what he does. He's going to steal scoring opportunities from you. DJ Moore is there long term. You drafted Rome Odunze. On top of that, you still have Tyler Scott and Velus Jones Jr., who are extremely fast as hell, and a nice vet there of DeAndre Carter coming into play. Look, Keenan Allen is going to be Keenan Allen, but this is not a guy to sit there and draft at his current ADP. Let him drop a little bit. Again, I love Shane Waldron. I think it's going to be a big improvement for that offense. They ain't going to finish 32nd, 27th in passing attempts. I can tell you that much.
It's just the freaking Bears, man. Like that just scares me away.
Well, it's also Caleb Williams, rookie quarterback. Look, I mean, we don't know yet what we're going to see out of him.
Correct.
So
I mean, there's a whole bunch of questions there. There's too many mouths to feed. DeAndre Swift is in the backfield. You still have what am I thinking? Where is he at? Khalil Herbert's still there. Roshan Johnson, now Travis Homer. Like, you got multiple guys if somebody gets injured to still steal the targets away from Keenan. For me, it's a bust. He's going to be more of an approach for me as a low-end wide receiver 2, a higher-end receiver 3 in the end for me, because this is, I mean, as Mikey says here in his draft guide, Keenan projects as more of a floor than a ceiling play in 2024. Plain and simple.
Is there a world in which we can see, like, Keenan Allen sort of taking Caleb Williams under his wing and just getting to the point where Caleb just wants to force feed him?
Yeah, you can. That sounds like a Keenan thing to me.
I mean, maybe.
Do I trust it, though? No.
I mean, think about what they've been working with, though, with the Bears now in the last year. I mean, they have good receivers there at this point. I mean,
they do.
They're loaded up, so there's too much to work with, and veterans that are there as well at the receiver position.
You got Ryan Bates from Buffalo and Nate Davis on the line as well from Tennessee. So you bolstered it up a little bit too. It's just
I'm just saying, like with a lot of these rookie quarterbacks, it's like they're not going to go through their progressions, and they're just going to go for what they know. They're going to go for what they trust. Oh, yeah. And I feel like Keenan Allen might be that guy for him. I mean, I got him as a bust. I'm
right there.
I'm not taking a stab on this. Yeah. I can see a world in which that would happen.
And that's my worry, right? Is like if you do wait on him, he could be that guy that turns into a top 10, top 15 receiver just due to that.
Why would we ignore DJ Moore after everything he's done now at this point?
It's a whole new OC. It's a whole new.
Everything's different now.
It's just gonna be different, man. It's a scary. It's a team you probably want to draft for, but it's a scary team to reach for in your players.
Yeah, to me, Keenan Allen just fits so well with what the Chargers did, and they always found ways to fit him into the system really, really well. Obviously, great quarterbacks along the way between some time with Rivers. And as well as with Herbert, who put up huge passing numbers, yardage wise, at least over the years. For me, the 150 targets that he normally sees every year is not going to happen anymore. I can't imagine that.
Can't see it
at this point. 150 targets doesn't make any sense at this point. So for me,
it's only downhill.
The bust outweighs the boom, mainly because the ADP is just a little too high for me. To where I'm not saying he's going to fall off and suck. I'm saying he's not worthy of being picked at 52 overall. I'd rather have him at 72 overall.
He's going to fall. He's going to fall in a lot of your leagues out there. So just kind of keep an eye on.
Yeah, his ADP over time since February here, or since March. Sorry, when we dropped it. April. It has peaked, and now it is on the downhill trend. So he is dropping in a lot of drafts here in your ADP. So watch him to continue to drop as we get closer to August.
He's not going to, I can tell you right now, he's not going to fall in our draft because we deal with, shall we say, some
Aaron Rodgers-
incompetent people.
Aaron
in our-
Rodgers is
in
going
our
to get
league,
drafted in
so.
the first 2 rounds because
Yeah.
it's what happens every year. Even though he's a 13, 14.
You never know. There's always curveballs in our draft, so you
Oh
never
my
know what's going to
God.
happen with all that stuff. So I don't
Keenan
know.
Allen might go in the 3rd round of our draft. That's what I'd be worried about.
I mean, it's possible. You never know. So we've seen some crazy things in our draft. So
That's for sure.
it's hard to say. Guys, can do good news to transition over to. But the Royals are now up 8-5 here in the 9th inning, so means they would have won both of their games today as the doubleheader against the Cardinals goes, which is awesome. I mean, we got the All-Star break coming up, so the cool news is Bobby Witt Jr. is in the home run derby. I don't think odds have been released yet for the home run derby yet, but I don't think we know everyone that's in it at this point.
So as of right now, we're still waiting on a couple other participants, so we should know here in a day or so.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But even then, like with Bobby Witt, I'm not going to put any money on Bobby Witt to win the home run derby. I'm going to be excited to watch him hit, and I'm curious who he's going to have throw to him. But guys, there's too many big guys that are in this derby that are just going to be smashing home runs.
Well, and the rules have changed too.
Yeah, the rules have changed and all that. They always change all the damn rules of the derby. Why can't they just leave it alone? I don't understand that.
Well, I like the old rules back in the good days.
It's just simple. You got 10 outs.
Yeah,
it's pretty simple.
So instead of it's still a timed event, but you have a maximum of 40 pitches. So people they were averaging about 43 swings the last few years.
Yeah.
So now you got a max of 40 pitches or time limit at the plate. So that's essentially what you're seeing to go out there to get better swings out of guys who are scared of their injuries. So that's the biggest one. And there's no head versus head. It's everybody goes and the top 4 move on. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to watching it. At least it'll be kind of fun. So we'll see how he does. Current state of the Royals, you guys. I know we feel better today now that we've gotten 2 wins under our belt before this day's over. Royals will be a record of 51-43. Still in that battle for the wild card spot, of course. I feel like the division is going to be really hard to get back into with the Guardians. Just taking control of things still at the moment. But I'm not going to give up totally on it. But the Royals got to figure some things out still. I mean, at the end of the day, I think this is a great average to above average team that's going to be just a fringe playoff team. If they make it, and it's going to come down to some guys getting hot at the right time for it all to work out. And, Bobby Witt can't do it all on his own. So, anyways, that's my current thoughts on the Royal situation. I want to see what they do at the trade deadline. J.J. Piccolo put out a statement a couple of days ago basically saying that, they want to be active at the deadline. That's the plan. They're also not going to sell off the future for it to happen at the same time. So they don't have any interest in like selling off a big piece in the minors or something like that to get somebody. But they want to do something or make some kind of a move at least to help maybe either corner outfield or bullpen improve in that regard. Chris Bubic is back, as a matter of fact. Bubic came out and pitched the 8th inning, so he is officially in the relief pitcher rotation with the club. So we'll see how that unfolds too as time goes. But
you got any worry about the Royals?
No, I mean I agree with you. I mean they're not going to sell off any of their valuable pieces. They're 8 games out of first, and that can go one of 2 ways. I think they're going to be possibly contending for the division. There's a long way to go. I mean, they could still win the division for all we know, but you're not going to take the risk and try to make big trades.
Yeah, this was in 2015.
Yeah, like, you're not going down that road.
2015 went all in, and we were all happy they went all in.
Oh yeah,
we all wanted them to go all in. This is not the team to go all in.
This is
the team to like, hey, let's see if we can get a little better. If not, you know what, that's okay. Let's think about next year too. We're not trying to go all in for one. Let's think about the future as well along the way with this current roster that they got. So
yeah, I think my biggest worry right now going into All-Star break is not necessarily our division, but for a wild card spot. Right, you got Boston ahead of us, who's going to hang around with us.
Yeah.
They're not catching the Orioles or Yankees, so you're gonna hang around there. My issue there is with Seattle and the Houston. Okay, that is the biggest issue. Seattle currently is in first place. Houston's in second place in their division. But the issue with Houston, we do not want them competing for a stupid wild card. We need them to take first place, and then we can compete with Seattle and Boston for a wild card. We have a better chance of that because right now Houston, who was bottom of the barrel for the first 3 months of this freaking league, has come alive, figured life out, even with pitching injuries. And now they're 47-44, 7-3 their last 10, positive in your differential. And they're sitting right behind the Royals, just ready to pounce, ready to go. And Houston is playing great ball. They need to overtake Seattle. So that way we can solidify this Boston, KC, Seattle mix for the wild card. Because if Seattle gets surpassed, I don't think they can compete to stay alive for the wild card spot. So I think in the end, going into here, how does Houston finish? How does Seattle finish? That's going to be your two keys of what to look for after the All-Star break for the Royals.
Yeah, and it's taking care of business in the head-to-head games against weaker teams. It's been frustrating kind of watching them screw around with the A's, screw around with the Rockies, and all of a sudden it's like, man, those are easy wins that they're giving up right there. And that's why we're still just only 8 games above 500 when we could be 12 to 15, which is where they should be at.
Should be right there with the Twins at 53-40.
I say that this team's a lot of fun to watch though because of the starting pitching. I've loved watching the starting pitching this year. These guys give us a chance every single game. It's the only guys that have really been blowing it has either been a bad day with the offense or the relief pitchers, and that's going to be our downfall by the end of the season anyway.
So we do this on a lot of shows, but let's say, do you guys both still have them making the wild card or not making the wild card?
As of right now, if I had to,
we've said yes every week.
Yeah,
just for the record.
Yes, we have.
We have said yes every week.
But do we have any changes this week?
I'm going to stick to the yes at the moment.
I think,
and I'm trying not to live in the moment of winning 2 games today.
As of right now, with the way the standings are set, chances here. As of right now, I'm going to go no.
You're going to go no.
I'm going to go no.
Can we bet on that right now? Can you pull up the odds on that?
The odds of the Royals making the playoffs?
I can.
Because I'd be tempted to go for that. Like, I'm just confident in this team. I mean, only being 8 games out of first is just I like the fact that I feel like we have a winning culture right now. The way that they started the season off, and now we're just kind of tailing off a little bit. I still feel like we could still finish the season strong. And I'd be tempted to make that bet in terms of the Royals making the wild card this year.
I mean, there's still 2 full months to go before this thing's over. So, I mean, lots of time, but they got to get it figured out pretty quick for it to work out.
I'm sure you can pull it up on Bovada, Tanner, if you can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, your favorite website. Your favorite website is Bovada. You get paid out in Bitcoin on Bovada.
I know where to go. Right now, the Royals to win the division is plus 4,000.
What?
And if you're
the division,
4,000. I want to know about the wild card. Just making the wild card
to make the playoffs, it is
200 plus 200. I bet plus 300.
The wrong teams when I clicked on it.
Interesting one.
Plus 160 for yes.
Okay.
Minus 190 for no.
Okay. So 160. That's okay.
It opened up as plus 415 to begin the season. So
yeah.
Right.
So speaking of Bovada, did you guys know that it's illegal to bet on the presidential election in this country? However, Bovada is offshore, so you can actually bet on that. I wonder what those.
So you can bet on that, but when it comes to getting your money after you win, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be a little tough.
Let's look that up because I thought Biden was actually a dog in this go around. He was the favorite last time, but he might be a dog.
I think he's a dog at this point in the current election standings.
What did you guys think of that debate? Did you watch the debate?
I didn't watch it, dude.
Tanner, you watched the debate.
No,
You're an RFK guy. You watched him do
I watched
debate.
nothing of that debate.
And come on, I watched the debate.
You watched? Oh, you watched the whole thing.
I watched the whole thing, man.
I only saw the highlights.
I saw the memes and the gifs. That
the Royals game. See, me wanting to be a good American, I wanted to make sure I got the full story of what was going on in the debate. So I watched the whole thing. It was entertaining. I'll say that.
I got to tell you, dude, I think Biden is completely normal. Like ever since that point, like I've seen him after the debate. I think he's completely normal. And I seriously think that the being up past his bedtime of 8 o'clock is the thing that actually killed him. Because, dude, you wake him up first thing in the morning and he does all these speeches and whatnot. He is sharp.
Do that at 6 a.m., dude.
So,
I know. Like, I don't understand why they did that.
Biden is plus 500. Trump is minus 185.
Okay.
All right.
I'm just saying they should have had that debate at like 5 p.m. instead of, 10 o'clock or whatever the hell. It was way past his bedtime, dude. That's not fair.
Yeah, because that's what the channels want. They don't want to make money at 8 o'clock at night.
By the way, Flint Eastwood said that Bobby's brother-in-law is going to be pitching for him in the Derby. So we can show that there.
Bobby being it makes me actually watch this year. I watch every year. Starsky.
I get bored with it, man.
I love me some home run derby.
To me, the derby gets boring, but since Bobby's in it, I'm going to care more.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Pete Alonso's in it, who won it 2 years in a row. 20 and 21, they got knocked out by Julio. So he's returning, and I think Vlad is too, right? Am I crazy? The defending champ?
Vlad Guerrero. He should be. I would hope so. I mean,
where's that?
Yeah, he's got some bomber in him.
No, he is not official yet.
Not yet. Well, let's give it time. I don't think they're all announced yet.
So your participants is Pete Alonso, Bobby Witt, Gunnar Henderson, Alex Bohm, Marcel Ozana, Jose Ramirez, and Dallas Garcia. And that's all that's announced so far. So
all right. There's like 2 more to go, I think.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I got a couple more fun things to talk about here. At least fun in my opinion, anyway. But I just want to mention, for the first time in over 10 years, college football on PS5 video games.
It's back.
It's back. College football video game is back with all the player licensing. So you're going to have names and player likeness involved in the game for the first time ever, of course, with all the NIL deals and all that kind of stuff. So players getting paid, obviously, to be a part of the game. I heard Arch Manning actually made $60,000 just to promote the game alone, which is pretty crazy to think about.
Backup quarterback.
Shoot, man, that's nuts. But
backup quarterback,
man, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. And I know Madden comes out every year, but just the fact that it's been over 10 years since NCAA has come out with the college game, which a lot of people in the past thought NCAA was better gameplay wise than Madden was anyway. So for me, I've gone back and forth on that a little bit, but it's going to be exciting to see what they've come out with on this game. And just got me thinking, though, just historically about sports video games and sports related video games. If you guys had a favorite game of all time, it could be Tyson's Knockout, could be one. The boxing game back in the day, could be a snowboarding game, could be a golf game if you're into that kind of crap. But would you guys think back your favorite video game, sports related wise, that you've ever played?
Yeah, I mean, I love Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, man. That was an amazing game. I think my favorite game is definitely not the best. If I had to vote on the best game of all time, it's Tecmo Super Bowl, because I always pick the Buffalo Bills, Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, and then on the Raiders, you had Bo Jackson, Marcus Allen. That would be, like, in my opinion, the best game ever, but my favorite would have to be NBA Jam Arcade.
Yeah, the Jam.
Some NBA Jam.
Yeah, NBA Jam was awesome for sure. Between that and the Blitz at the time in the arcades, like both of those games were just hot. I mean, those were amazing. So, I played them both now that they're on consoles and stuff, and it's not the same. It's a different kind of vibes. So
it's not, but
you got to be playing on the actual arcade machine.
The NFL Blitz is my favorite. I think it's the best. I love
Blitz
me
is
some
cool.
Blitz.
Blitz is
it's
cool.
Just different, and Slugfest was like a MLB version of Blitz, and those are my 2 favorite games. Honestly, I had the most fun with those 2 games.
I had a couple before that I had to kind of put on there, but I remember I played the hell out of MLB 2000 back in the day.
Yeah.
For some reason, that game for baseball was awesome. That's where I played with Griffey all the time.
Yep.
And Griffey and Randy Johnson were like my 2 favorite players.
You still had all the eras still there too.
McGuire and Sosa and all those guys. I mean,
yeah,
it was wild, man. Mike Sweeney was on there. So when I'd use the Royals, I think even Kevin Apier might have been on there. Even
that's amazing. It's amazing that you mentioned Randy Johnson and Ken Griffey Jr., the only 2 players who have not used steroids as superstars in that era.
Those are my 2 favorite baseball players of all time, by the way.
Yeah,
is those 2 players.
Neither one of them were juiced, so they were pretty awesome, dude.
Yep. But I don't think that's my favorite game. SmackDown 2 was a ton of fun at the time, man.
SmackDown, all those SmackDown series.
Well, SmackDown 2 was cool because they had a huge roster, and they brought in the TLC match and Hell in a Cell, cage matches, and all that kind of crap. All the stuff SmackDown 1 did not have.
Correct.
And so it was just so much fun because you could play with everybody. You could do the People's Elbow and Rock Bottom for like the first time. I think they actually looked good. And it was just a fun game in general. But for me, at the end of the day, man, I can't help it. I'm a slave to the Madden games. Always have been that way. But I think my favorite Madden of all time was probably Madden 08. 08 was so cool because you had the hit stick already in place, but they added other elements into the game like the truck stick and stuff like that were now involved in the game. And so I think the gameplay of Madden 08 was awesome because it came right before the new gen console came out at that time period, which there's always that transition process where the gameplay sucks on the new console when it first comes out. It takes like a couple of years to get moving. But this was like 08 was like the peak of PS2.
It was
of Madden at that point. And Madden 10 was also pretty good as well once they got that going. I liked that one. So I think Madden 08 was my favorite sports game of all time, though.
Flint Eastwood said WCW versus NWO for 64. Hey, guess
there you
what?
go.
I was actually playing that a few weeks ago.
Tanner's got that here.
And I got down the 64 here. I got a few games there in 64, NBA Jam as well. You know, I got me a fair share, and I was actually playing the Raw. I think it was 2000 or 2002 on Xbox.
Yeah.
And I love it because you can do like similar to like SmackDown, but it was the last game that you can customize and do different stuff before they moved to a whole new era of WWE games where you lost a lot of access to do that stuff, a lot of customization. You just weren't able to do the same kind of stuff. So that I was actually playing that a few weeks ago as well, and that I just sit here and enjoy it.
That just reminded me on SmackDown too. I remember the loading screen would freeze on Trish Stratus sometimes.
Yeah,
and that was my favorite time. Never mind.
Stacy Keibler.
The loading screens were the best part, man. They would just freeze all of a sudden. I'm like, my game froze. I'll just go ahead and leave it there.
You know, speaking of wrestling, did you know that they're going back to mature?
Yeah, they're going to Netflix.
Yep.
WWE's going to Netflix, and so
no more PG,
it'll be the
baby.
beginning of next year. And so they can say
they want.
They can say bitch. They can say ass. They can say shit.
We're gonna get it.
So it's almost like what we used to be like.
We're gonna get a whole
before
new.
We got now the PG era took over like John Cena.
It's gonna be a whole new style.
You can't say anything.
Edge and Lita in the middle of the ring. It's gonna be a whole new version of that.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of wildness they come up with, I guess, after that point. Anyways, so what do you have? One more comment on there?
Starsky says Techno Bowl triple play baseball was phenomenal.
No Mercy was pretty
No Mercy
good.
I got as well, and then NBA Jam. Yep, I'm in for those.
I remember No Mercy. That was a good one. All right, guys, one more little topic for the day. I thought this was somewhat amusing. The guys, Ollie Gordon, running back for Oklahoma State.
Wide receiver
for Oklahoma State. Is he wide? I think he's running back.
Oh, Ollie Gordon?
Yeah.
I always got him on the wide receiver side.
I think he's a.
I'll verify. No, you're right. He is a
running back. He had a big season last year. Put up some big numbers.
Sorry, I was thinking of the other guy.
Anyways, guys, so he's a big time college star, making lots of money
1,600 yards. The Doak Walker Award last year.
That's right. The best
20
back,
TDs.
Yes, right. Best back in the nation in some ways by some people's accounts. Anyways, he got a DUI recently. As those things seem to happen. But Mike Gundy, the coach, Gundy has been a guy I've been following for a long time. And I remember about 20 years ago, man, I was watching him when he was younger play against Missouri, and he just sat there on the sideline writing down all these notes for, 15 minutes. And the Missouri was winning at the time. And I remember that Oklahoma State ended up coming back to beat Missouri in that game. And I was like, man, what was he writing down all those notes for? What was he writing down, to game plan something to come back? And I always thought he was a cool coach after that point, seeing that unfold. But his reaction to Ollie Gordon getting his DUI was, let's see. You have a recording of it, Tanner? I was going to read it off my little script here.
I'm working on it for you if you want.
So his reported blood alcohol content was a 0.10, which is 0.02 over the legal limit, obviously. But so his reaction was basically 2 or 3 beers or 4 for a 215-pound man. I'm not justifying what Ollie did. I'm telling you what decision I made. I thought, okay, I've done that probably 1,000 times in my life, and it was just fine. So I got lucky. People get lucky. And then he's also said, Ollie made a decision. He wished he could have done better. But when I talked to Ollie, I told him, you're lucky you got out light because you make a lot of money to play football. So back in the day, these college guys didn't make money. So,
right.
Now he can afford his DUI.
Decided that he wanted to come to today's event. That I told him, when this is finished today at 4:00, it's over for me. I've already made the decisions that I think
wasn't it? Was it part of that same press conference?
Well, he
thinks best for yourself.
He had 2 of them
and
about
the
this situation. He kind of was questioned again after his original statements about the situation.
So that was probably a little longer than it should have been.
Yeah, well, he's just saying, for most college players, getting a DUI is going to be difficult, back in the day. But
at some point after his memorable,
all right,
I'm a man.
Tanner, are you playing around on YouTube?
No, I hit a short.
was
It was
porn,
stupid
dude.
AI.
I was gonna
like
say,
porn.
dude,
Hey,
never know what link is gonna
It
pop
was
up.
it was
over
a
there.
short with the quote you just said, and ended up being an
Oh,
AI
the
voice.
short.
Now
the
that was
shorts,
one of
the
those.
shorts.
That was one of those advertisements where they talk about how big your members going to
Is
get.
that what it
if
is?
You take some.
Hey,
bullshit.
Mike knows where to get some free medicine.
Well,
You guys need help for your member?
No, I'm
what
good.
I
Oh,
keep
there.
saying.
Yeah, there is a
Some of these
app.
people
There's
need
an
help.
app right now. You can get some free
Some free stuff.
pills if you're interested. I saw that. It's pretty similar. So I did a BAC calculator just for my own shits and giggles for this, but so apparently online, if you plug this in for a 215-pound man, it showed Gordon would have had to have drank approximately 6 beers in 2 hours to hit that 0.10. So a little more than the 3 or 4 he assumed. But what I found the most interesting that people are hating on Mike Gundy for was that he said that I've probably done that 1,000 times and it was just fine, so I got lucky. I thought it was
That was the quote I found.
that was
It being the AI voice.
he's getting a lot of hate for this. And
yeah.
all I got to say about it is I can at least appreciate that he's being honest about what the majority of people do. Tanner, whenever you go to your restaurant bars or whatever the case may be, you go to your local Applebee's, people are sitting at the bar, they're probably having 3 or 4 drinks. Right? And then they go, and then they leave. You think they're going to leave in an Uber every goddamn time? No, they're driving their ass. They're driving their ass probably to the next bar. Who knows? But regardless, he's saying I've done that 1,000 times. And he's not enabling the kid. I think he's being honest with himself, saying, yeah, this sucks. You were over the limit, obviously. You're going to have to pay for it. But at the same time, I'm not going to treat you like you're a piece of shit or that I'm holier than thou. Like a lot of people try to act like when it comes to situations like this, when someone gets a DUI, to act like they've never done a goddamn thing wrong and you're a big piece of crap for what you did. When thousands of people, millions of people on a daily goddamn basis go out and do exactly that. And they're riding dirty with a 0.10. But you don't know about it unless you get pulled over, right? So
Well,
my
the
point is, I
bottom
at
line
least
is,
can applaud Gundy for that.
bottom line is the media absolutely hates this guy.
Oh yeah.
Based on his political views or anything he's said in the past, for that matter, absolutely hate this guy. He didn't say anything wrong. I mean, he didn't really say anything with that quote. He
Well, they're
literally
asking
said
why,
nothing.
like, if you're going to punish the player, is the whole.
Of course,
aspect
but
of
like
it.
when you're the media and you hate a guy like this, no matter what he says, that all of a sudden you're just looking for little things here and there. All he says is having 4 or 5 beers is no big deal.
Right.
That's all that he said.
Right.
So we're gonna crucify this guy. Meanwhile, Justin Timberlake's over here getting fucking obliterated and driving hammered.
Dude, he was coked out.
And guess what? You never heard a word about that afterwards, dude. Never heard it. And why was that? Because he's a superstar, right? Everybody, I love Justin Timberlake. You know,
I do too, man.
Yeah,
I love the guy.
Great.
But why are we going to let him get away with getting freaking obliterated, driving drunk? But meanwhile, you're going to complain about little Mike Gundy over here that's celebrating a guy that he had 4 or 5 beers. That's no big deal.
Right.
Like, why are we going to go after this guy and not go after the people who are really a problem to society? Not that Justin Timberlake is a problem to society. I mean, like, I said,
you
I
might
love the
be at
guy.
certain times of night.
But he was totally blitzed, dude, driving around hammered.
Oh yeah, he was.
So there's 2 different conversations there, but we never hear about Justin Timberlake. That's all I'm saying. It's not fair to him, but that's my point, is that you already know that the media can't stand Mike Gundy, so they're always looking for ways that they can.
There's just a lot of hate towards the way he reacted about it originally, which is his true thoughts and beliefs, and I think is honestly just being an honest person with what he said.
Well, everybody else,
realistic.
like you said, holier. Like everybody else is just.
What's the thing?
so
Everyone,
much better.
You hear about someone getting a DUI about something like this, and all of a sudden it's like, oh man, Ollie Gordon, I don't know about him anymore. And then, act like that they've never done anything wrong in their life, and that they live this perfect little life where they don't do anything, don't break laws, don't do anything wrong, and never screwed up or gotten away with doing something wrong.
And even the whole the weight thing, that has nothing to do with anything. I know people, no names mentioned, JG, who can drink 15 beers that are 4% beers and not even get a buzz. Not even get a buzz, dude. So you're going to make a big deal about a guy that had 4 or 5 beers is just comical to me. Because there are people out there that they just, they can drink beer all day long and don't even get a buzz. Right. So what are we trying to say here? That those people are worse than people who just drink hard liquor all day and drive around drunk? I mean, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Did you
But I
did
don't
you
know.
mention the punishment he was talking about? Your quote?
What all was the punishment involved?
He said, he goes, Mike Gundy goes, quote, "I'm going to do what we think is best for Oklahoma State football."
Right.
And I think,
Just playing Ollie Gordon.
yeah, I think for best
Yeah.
Ollie to play. If there's any punishment, it's making him carry the ball 50 times in the game in the first game.
Yeah, because he'll win your game if you do that.
And the other thing, the other
What
thing that he's gonna,
punishment?
the other thing he's gonna do that is best for Oklahoma State is just not give a damn what the media says. That's the other thing that's
Right.
best for the school and the team.
We know
Yeah.
Mike doesn't, because
No, he doesn't
he'll
care.
he'll
Yeah,
comment
gotta
back
care.
on it.
I think in a situation like that, Gundy probably earns a lot of respect from the players. I know as much as it might seem like, oh, now they feel like they can go run rampant like crazy people and just do whatever the hell they want and get away with it. And I don't think Gundy's had to deal with these kind of issues this often, especially with superstar talents,
Correct.
of course, like this. And I think he's looking at the situation going, hey, you effed up. You got caught. I think a lot of people could get caught, doing something wrong in effing up. But I'm not going to, hold it against you because of a mistake you made. And I think at the end of the day, that's all he's trying to get across. And people are just taking him totally out of context. in
I
my
think he
opinion.
handled it. He handled it perfectly.
Yeah,
Well,
his
we're the
players
only
back.
show out there in the world right now that believes that because everybody else is hating on the guys. So, anyways,
Everybody else is
That's-
holier than us, so
Ollie Gordon, week 1, man. We'll see him go out there and get 40 carries. So if you got him in fantasy, if you do college fantasy,
yeah, 45,
and plug him
50
in, he's gonna get
carries.
punished.
Gosh.
40 carries and 6
Unreal.
touchdowns. So, that'll be your punishment. So let's rack up those yardage numbers. All right, guys. Well, before we get out of here, any final thoughts for the remaining 2 weeks we have coming up, man? Chiefs training camp's right around the corner. We are just 30 days away from preseason versus the Jaguars. So I'm looking forward to that, man. Looking forward to getting camp underway. We're gonna figure out what day for sure we're gonna go to training camp. I think we're gonna pick a weekend if we can.
Yeah, I
But-
think we're gonna Uber up there and get
Um,
hammered, aren't we? Isn't that the plan every year?
Yeah, I mean, well, we don't get hammered at training camp. We get hammered on the way back. from
Oh no,
training
that's the
camp.
designated driver right there. Never mind.
Oh yeah,
Nah, we're
Tanner's gonna
good.
be the
Yeah, we're
DD.
good.
DD.
Yeah, we all alternate DDs every year, don't we?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Something like that. So
Tell you, it's gonna be a lot better this year.
yeah, I think so. So, anyways,
I was gonna
what's up?
say, guys, follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page of Sports Buffoons. Follow us on Instagram as well and Threads. We're also available on Trovo, Twitch, YouTube, as well as good old X. So we're across the board. Make sure you guys give us a follow and always give us a like, subscribe on the YouTube. So
The good news is, guys, in 2 weeks when we're back, we're going to have training camp news to discuss and talk about. And the Ravens are going to be starting real early. They start earlier than any other team with camp this year. So,
who's the Hall of Fame game? Ravens and
Ravens play a Hall of Fame game?
but isn't that why they start early?
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't know why, but Hall of Fame games.
Yeah. The Hall of Fame teams start early.
Okay. Well, maybe that's it. But anyways, they start like next week or something like that. I was like super
Hall of Fame
early.
game will be the Chicago Bears playing against the Houston Texans. So
Oh,
those
that's not
two,
the Ravens then.
It's not the Ravens.
Okay. So there's
Those
no-
Yeah,
two teams
man.
will start beforehand.
I'm ready for training camp. I'm ready to see what I want to talk about. Rashi Rice, man, that's another guy that likes to drive around and do random things.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
Yeah,
him.
he does a lot of special things, a lot of special things. So it's not great, but he needs to smarten up a little bit with some of his driving abilities,
He'll be all
or
right.
get better at it, like Mike Gundy. He's done it 1,000 times. Maybe
Yeah,
Mike Gundy's a
that's true.
professional.
He probably
Maybe
is.
Mike Gundy knows what the hell he's doing when he drives. So it's fun. It's fun being a professional.
What was the record? The record of the all-time record was like 23 DUIs for
Yeah.
a lifetime or something.
I'd have been
like
more
that.
than that, but he kept getting
was
out.
more than
24.
23.
I thought I might have been 30 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was higher.
34
when you
maybe.
looked it up.
Wonder
That's
what,
pretty- that's
wonder
pretty
what
crazy.
state that guy lives in. That you can.
I don't know how you
get
keep
away with
getting
that
out.
stuff.
How do you keep getting out of jail and driving again?
He doesn't live in California. I can guarantee you that.
Right.
Gavin doesn't put up with that stuff.
Right. Well, there's Canada. So
Mr.
California and Canada are pretty similar
DUI,
these days.
Mr. DUI.
It must be one of those idiotic red
He,
states.
no. He was South Dakota was the state,
Oh, that's why.
and he had
South Dakota.
Yeah.
They-
See, what did I say? It's one of those idiotic
Yeah.
red states
And
where
he
they
had
let you get away with
30
that stuff.
DUIs. Mr. DUI was not killed by alcohol, but a cigarette that started his fire by house. So he did not die by alcohol. He just died by a cigarette that started a fire in his house.
Dude,
That's
that's
awesome.
a heck of a way to go out. That's all I'm gonna
Yeah.
say.
Very
That's one
valid
heck of a
for
way
me.
to go out,
That's
dude.
great.
There's your fun fact for the day.
There we go. I like it, man. All right, guys.
I want to know if he set his own house on fire.
It was
his own house.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, his own cigarette.
own
Actually,
cigarette.
I thought maybe he had
Well,
friends
no,
over.
no.
there.
Here's the thing.
Wait.
You know he was hammered to hell.
No,
I know he was.
We were on the way
He
back.
never felt a thing.
No, we were on
He
the
didn't feel it when he died.
Could you imagine how drunk you have to be? Just drop your
yeah.
cigarette.
we talked about it on the way back up from Tulsa one year. You looked it up, the whole story.
Yeah,
on
I
it.
did.
Yeah.
I was rolling around, dude. I couldn't believe
Yeah.
it. But
Oh, it's pretty amazing.
He lit
Oh,
his
that's
his
one way.
self on fire.
That's one way to never feel death. You would have no feeling whatsoever.
I don't know, man.
blacked out.
Ollie Gordon's got a lot of work to do to get to that level. So I'll put it that way. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here and take care of business for a couple weeks and come back with some fun stuff to talk about. And just get ready for football season, man. That's all I'm looking forward to. And fantasy, of course, is around the corner. So
NBA free agency is going pretty well.
yeah. So anyone out there listening who wants us to cover a topic also in the future, let us know. We always like taking recommendations as well. So with that said, guys, I will see you on the next one.
Outro.
See you guys.